Good people, that video you've just seen is not AI generated. It is reality, and it's happening in Kenya in the 21st century, in a country where your president says he wants Kenya to be like Singapore. He wants to transform Kenya from a third world country and developing country to a first world country and developed country. Now, how do you want this country to be developed if you can still line people up and give them leaves of sukuma wiki, tomatoes, and tea leaves? What kind of empowerment or development is that? Isn't that just myopic thinking, warped thinking, pedestrian thinking? You see, why does this government think in a lethargic and an inert way? Why do we popularize politics of tokenism and populism? Surely other countries are investing heavily in infrastructure. Other countries are creating industries that will boost employment and that will ensure people have disposable incomes in their pockets. And when you have disposable income in your pocket, you are at liberty to spend, save, and do what you want as the economy grows. The government equally is able to collect taxes if people are employed. But we keep on having a deficit here because who are you going to tax if majority are unemployed? Surely. How do you line up people and give them such rudimentary and mundane things like tea leaves, leaves of sukuma wiki, and tomatoes? We have money that is being embezzled instead of being used to create long-term solutions for these people. Those leaves, they'll be cooked. I bet even they cooked them last night. They are finished. The tea leaves won't even last them to the weekend. The tomatoes are finished. And then you teach a man how to fish. You do not fish and feed a man, because you create dependency when you feed somebody. Just recently here, the president has donated 50 million. Why can't he use that money to create factories, industries, industrial parks? Over here, he's removed another 1 million for youth to be ferried to the ODM anniversary in Mombasa. They have money for the wrong things, but they don't have money for the right things. Flying in choppers in the name of empowerment. Driving fuel guzzlers in the name of empowerment. Then you're coming to give people sukuma wiki and tea leaves and tomatoes. Surely. Isn't that just preposterous, ludicrous, and flabbergasting? And then you'll hear a sane person singing, two-term, KBB, kumi bila break, mbwegze, mbwegze. And in the words of a famous musician, he said, in Kenya, poverty is no longer a crisis. It's a currency. Politicians just don't ignore the poor. They farm them. They weaponize hunger to harvest votes. Offer handouts in place of dignity and build empires on broken promises. When you can't afford basic needs or dignity like clean water, shelter, education, you begin to trade your values for survival without even realizing it. It's not that the poor lack morals. It's the system that has robbed them to practice those morals. Poverty is the leash, elections is the collar. But it's quite unfortunate. And also I leave you in the words of there's a famous adage that says, when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in society, over the course of time, they create for themselves a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. Somebody stands on the podium, sheds tears, how he's having sleepless nights, how Kenyans are average thinkers, how Kenyans, and by the way, Kasongo, Kenyans are very hardworking. Kenyans are very resilient. And Kenyans do not hate their country. Kenyans hate you. Yes, they hate you. And you should know you are not Kenya. And Kenya is not you. But we hate you. So stop saying Kenyans hate their country. We hate you because of your policies. You're mismanaging this country. You say what you don't mean and you mean what you don't say. You are a hypocrite and you are a pathological, perpetual and habitual liar. You're taking this country backwards. But you, in your mind, since you're always in utopia, you're always hallucinating, you think this country is on the right trajectory. No, it is not. If you can still give people sukuma wiki, tomatoes, and tea leaves, and expect those people to wake up in the morning to vote for you, come on. Singapore did not give people tea leaves. Singapore did not give people tomatoes. Singapore did not give people sukuma wiki. Singapore invested in infrastructure. They made an environment conducive for both domestic and foreign investment. They created strong institutions that would do oversight. They empowered their people through education, through constant training. They made accessibility to credit facilities, loans easier. They removed the red tapes and the bureaucracy. They encouraged innovation. People are being given incentives for inventing. People are given tax rebates for creating industries and factories. They did away with corruption, zero tolerance, and they made sure any elected person had fidelity to the law and to the sacrosanct constitution. They eradicated cronyism, nepotism, all those things, they did away with them. But nowhere did you ever hear that Singapore gave people tea leaves, tomatoes, and sukuma wiki. Which Singapore does Kasongo want us to go to? What first world country does he want us to go to? Now, to be honest, who's the average thinker here? Who's the average thinker? Who is the average thinker? Who has ever seen a government give its people tomatoes? And you can think the tomatoes is a sack of tomatoes. People are being given 3 tomatoes. Sukuma wiki leaves 4 leaves. What can 4 leaves do? It can't even feed a family or even one person. The mediocrity in this country. And me, what pains me and what hurts me, we still have grown men and women, fathers, grandfathers, uncles, brothers, gyrating and twerking there, kumi bila break, 2 term. In 3.
My dear Kenyans, we are at a turning point in our history. And I call upon you all to participate with I and we in Safina in taking Kenya through the next phase of our liberation called economic liberation. I plead with you to seize this moment, to look at every single leader that comes before you attempting to take your vote, to articulate to you the issues of your life, the issues of the day in Kenya. This is a moment for you to change history. It is our moment as a country. It was started by Genz, and we must complete this journey of liberating Kenya from the shackles of what was created in 1920 by the colonialist. You must arm yourself with that voter's card. You must participate in an election that answers your question when you X the box. It must be you you're voting for, not Jimmy, not whoever else. It is you yourself you're voting for. Your question must be answered when you're Xing that box. And that question can only be the next phase of our liberation, which is the economic. Join us in that liberation.
Mido nacheza mdhamini si nakaona dai moshi tazivuta vuta limit ya fuliza imeongezeka nikoma neza shika jag na kanunu sie nacheza kiroro neza fika soko turirime mdagi meditation naki shusha kibandaski cha podonde neza rada nama vuta izoma